Hello and howdy everyone. I'm here to talk about the new Rob Zombie film, Lords of Salem. Right off the bat, I think it's his best film. I'm definitely glad I saw it. I hadn't really planned on seeing it. I've never seen a Rob Zombie film in the theater. That's kind of what led me to see it. There were other reasons. I noticed that, I figured Rob Zombie is an established director. He's directed something like, I don't know, what, 6 films, 5 films. He's pretty much in charge of a studio franchise, and that being Halloween. He also makes films outside the studio system, where, he writes and directs. He's an uncompromising artist. He doesn't really answer to anyone. He maintains artistic control. I think, half the time. It seems like he makes half of his films for the studio and half of the films for him. And even his films for the studio, the Halloween films, I still think, I've never watched them. I never supported them just because I don't feel that Halloween needs to be touched. I think that John Carpenter pretty much nailed it. Halloween pretty much started a genre of film that, again, I just never saw the point of remaking Halloween. And so I never supported those films, but I thought that Rob Zombie was a good choice. He probably had a great love for it. Maybe I should see it, but I don't know. I saw House of a Thousand Corpses on disc when it came out. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was okay. I liked the first half. It seemed like the last half. I only saw it the one time on disc, and it seemed like they went underground or something to find what was going on, and whenever they go underground or whatever, it just turned into a different film, and I kind of lost interest. Devil's Rejects, if Lords of Salem isn't his best film, then Devil's Rejects definitely is. It was a really good film. Again, I only saw it the one time on disc soon after it came out, so I don't have the best memory of it, but I know I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed its tone. I liked it a lot, and it was disturbing. All of his stuff is disturbing. Here, he's turned it up to 11. He's turned it up to 11, and I'm glad I saw it. I thought, okay, I've never seen a Rob Zombie film, in the theater. Maybe I should do that. So I was already halfway thinking about it. Another factor was the poster. Even looking at the poster for the film creeped me out. Like, I had to stop and stare. When I would look at a wall of posters, that's the poster I would look at, and I would get in close to it, and it would freak me out. And all it is the woman staring at you. But something about it got under my skin, and I was like, damn, that's a good poster. And I thought, even if the poster's scary, I bet the movie's going to be good. But then the big factor that erased all doubt in my mind was that, this film came out a couple weeks ago, and, it was a limited release. It was something on like, from 6 to 10 screens in Los Angeles, where I live, on its initial release. So I thought, oh, well, okay, it'll go more places. It'll be more convenient to watch. Next week or in 2 weeks when it's got a wider release. But instead, in going from 10 theaters on opening week, instead of going to 20 or more on week 2, it went from 10 theaters in week 1 to 4 theaters in week 2. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. That Rob Zombie, an unapologetic, uncompromising filmmaker, could make something that nobody wanted to see, that people weren't interested in, that wasn't going to go to the rest of the country. And I immediately said, well, I need to see it. If it's not good enough for mass consumption, then something must be going on. Something interesting must be happening. So I had pretty much decided, as soon as I saw it drop from 10 theaters I literally, like 4 screens in all of Los Angeles 2 weeks after its release. I was like, something is up here. Something's up. I need to see this film. And again, I'm glad I did, because it was disturbing. You know, it was disturbing. Again, I think it's his best film. I think it shows I think it's a balls out, almost like moving manifesto. It's I don't really even know what to say about it. I think I want to give it an 8. You know, I want to give it an 8 because it was just a pure visceral experience, and it attacks your sensibilities at pretty much every level. And I thought it didn't rely on normal horror conventions. I thought it worked more at disturbing your soul and mind than it did for shock value or gore. Honestly, there's only like one scene. You know, this is about an hour and 40-minute movie. And of that hour and 40-minute movie, there's really only like 30 seconds tops of like gore that you can see on network television. The Following or Hannibal or The Walking Dead. All of those hour-long shows that you can see readily on television are much more gory than this film, The Lords of Salem. There's only a brief amount of gore, and it is very gory and it is very intense. It's a very terrible thing that's happening during the gory scene, but it's only very briefly. The rest of the film is meant with weeding its way into your mind and disturbing the ideas and the beliefs that you hold most dear. It's far more psychological than I think any of his work. And I'm no expert. I only saw his films one time each, and not even his Halloween films. But he shows a talent at digging deep here, and then showing absolutely no regard for what makes you feel safe or what makes you feel happy or what you believe. It just is. The film is about there's a female DJ. She gets a mysterious package, a box that has a record in it. She is told that the record is meant for her. It's been delivered to her, and actually wasn't delivered. It just appeared with her name on it. It's a record, and she plays it, and it's just like a repeating tone. Like a one measure of music, like something like 8 notes and repeated. And she listens to this. She enters a trance. She plays it on a radio show. Other people enter trances. We learn, throughout that the town of Salem, where they live, has a deep and ugly history. Dealing with persecution of non-Christians, pagans, I suppose you'd say. They were burned alive, just horrible torture, torturous things. In one of those, scenes, they curse the town. Because of this tremendous injustice to human life, you're going to curse the town. The spawn of Satan will be born from, the bishop's bloodline, whatever. And so many centuries later, their plan, this curse, is coming to fruition. That's basically what the film is about in a nutshell. if it's a simple story, which it kind of is, it's because it's supposed to assault you at every point with imagery. You know, this is a very image-driven film. It's got the ideas, it's got that, but it really destroys symbols. It debaucherizes icons of faith. It's really kind of an anti-religious manifesto. Within 20 minutes of watching this film, I knew precisely why this film would not be seen by America, because it's a anti-Christian. And I mean, I don't want to like make statements and say this is what the filmmaker meant, but Christianity, and in particular Catholicism, takes it right on the chin. I mean, it really exposes religion for being the hypocritical system of control that it is. And it was amazing. You know, you'll see if you would be offended, by, seeing offended by seeing like the Virgin Mary defiled and burned. If you would, like to see, if you would be offended by seeing fathers, like Catholic priests, where you have to call them father. If you want to see them getting blowjobs and, masturbating with black filth coming out of their mouths, again, like the imagery, the iconography that a Christian would hold dear is destroyed here. I mean, he wants it. I just got this, like he was angry. Like he's just become so enraged. And maybe Rob Zombie's always been enraged at religion, but he just seems like he's, on fire, and he's just trying to tear down the hypocrisy of religion himself, and he's doing it whatever way he can. The last maybe 10 minutes of the film, I thought all throughout that it was very Kubrickian. It reminded me a lot of A Clockwork Orange. It reminded me a lot of Eyes Wide Shut, both in terms of style, subject matter, again, primarily style. And again, the last 10 minutes are almost like a psychedelic trip straight out of 2001. Again, like the last 10 minutes is an assault of imagery it's a piece of art, and I don't want to assign any meanings. You're going to get whatever you get out of it. But I think it's definitely something that should be seen. And that's what made me want to see it, is when a film is not being seen by the consumers at that time, the time it's meant to be seen, then something's up with that. If it's not being seen, then it's either terrible and can be dismissed, or it's great art. Now, I'm not saying that this is great art that can't be understood, but I'm saying it's his closest example. He's really striving here. He's really swinging for the fences, Rob Zombie. He wrote and directed this. The only actor I can tell you is, and I can't tell you her name, but I know it's also Zombie, like Salem Zombie or Moon Zombie something. His wife, she's good. All the acting is good. It's a horror film, so all the acting is true to the horror genre. There's all sorts of like weird genre twists. The only other film I thought about, and I think that shows how good a film is if you can't think about many other films. If I can watch a film and I can, see the influence from here, here, and here, and see those films, pieces of each film making up this film, then I say, okay, it's a good movie, but not a great movie. But if I can't think of another film while watching a film, then I know that it's a great movie. I could only think of one other film. Well, I guess technically I was thinking about Kubrick work. I did get a lot of Eyes Wide Shut out of this. I got a lot of Clockwork Orange, and again, 2001. I think he watched some Kubrick in getting, prepared for this film. The only other film I could think of was Ty West's House of the Devil, which I think is one of the great horror films of recent memory, of the last decade at least. If you've never seen Ty West's House of the Devil, definitely check that out. It's a great film. I kind of want to watch that now because of this film. It has that slow, methodical pace that film had, and just this eeriness that gets under your skin. I'm running out of actually energy here, so I've got to wrap up. I really love that I saw it. I mean, I think in like 10 years, I'm going to be able to say, hey, I saw Lords of Salem on the big screen. And people are going to be like, what? Like you did? I'm proud of myself for having seen this film in the big screen. I definitely recommend it. If you like art, if you like to be challenged, if you think that, religion is a prison, then I would definitely recommend this film. If you like Rob Zombie's other work, if you like Rob Zombie's music, I would definitely recommend it. If you were fans of the horror genre, I would definitely recommend it. I recommend this film, period. But it's going to challenge you. It's going to make you uncomfortable. I would say that if my mother watched this film, that she would probably stop watching the film 3 to 5 minutes in. Maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe more like 10 to 15 minutes, but she would get out quick. The normal the normal mass sheep brain of, consumer America is not going to accept this film. It's just going to be disregarded because it challenges everything most of America, believes in their heart to be, true. And it's like an hour and a half statement. It was like, no, it's like, you can believe what you want to believe because it's all bullshit. And I loved it. It was just the balls on this film. The balls on this film were mammoth. Mammoth balls on this film. So again, I think it excels at being art, and I really had a good time in the theater. It was me and 3 other people. It was me, another dude, and a couple came to see this movie. And it was like a 5 o'clock show. And again, only on 4 screens in Los Angeles. I don't get it. So again, I'm very happy that I saw this in the theater. So that's Rob Zombie's newest film, Lords of Salem, and I give it a solid 8. Very brave, uncompromising, excels at being art. Thank you very much.